Hey guys, this is Karalynn Cromings. Welcome back to the Quick Getting Screwed podcast. We have another episode from the ground of World of Concrete. And today I have with me an industry expert, Rich Szecsy, the Executive Vice President of Alamo Concrete. Hey Rick.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Been looking forward to this a long time. And here at World of Concrete, this is definitely one of the places people have talked about stopping by. So I'm glad I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So before we dive into talking about what the industry looks like for 23 and
Sure.
other topics, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are.
Sure. I've spent 25 years in the business. And as I like to say, I've made multiple consecutive bad decisions with my education and got undergraduate, master's, PhD, MBA, too many degrees for my mother to count, but she's very proud. And I went straight to the industry. Most people with that pedigree would go to academics. I went straight to the industry and have spent the last 25 years in the ready-mix concrete, aggregates, and cement industry on the operations side, technical side. I've worked overseas, and now I'm back in Texas, in San Antonio, working for a global cement company.
Awesome. That's amazing. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's
Sure.
start with what does tech in concrete look like?
Great question, because this is probably one of the, and I'm going to use a big broad term here, one of the sexiest times to be in concrete with technology. Two different areas. First is on what I would call the back office or administrative side. The ability and speed for us to link things together. When you order concrete and it's delivered, somebody now can press a button on the job site and be invoiced within 60 seconds.
Wow.
So now imagine the old thing of triplicate tickets. I got to hang this. I've got this copy. I got this copy that's got to be couriered. It's got to be processed. Scanned. Now you have that technology where I can say, yes, I've received it on a phone,
Gotcha.
and get an email that just sends me an invoice.
So the drivers have
Tablets.
and it's all so they can't be lost.
Correct.
The pick
Can't be
tickets
lost.
Can't be lost.
Can't be lost. It's got all the information on it, QR code for anybody else who wants to see it. And if I knew an attorney, she might be so inclined to be like, well, what else do you include on there in terms of terms and conditions, warranties and guarantees that you can't fit on the back of a small delivery ticket?
Gotcha. That's pretty amazing.
Go to the other side, on the operations side. Here at World of Concrete, you'll see this as well. First is our ability to know what's in the truck when it's happening. I can give you slumps, airs, temperature, water added, in transit, in process, from sensors delivered to my phone. And I can tell you, oh, 3 trucks are coming with the slump is this, this, and this. Crazy technology. And finally, cutting edge, absolute blowing everything up is 3D printing.
Really? So how does
What's
what does that
called
look like?
additive manufacturing, but we're going to call it 3D printing. You've probably seen 3D printers with plastic and they build little things, and I do it, and it's very dangerous for an engineer to have a 3D printer. But 3D printing of concrete, of homes, of structures.
Really?
Absolutely. Cutting edge stuff. There's half a dozen manufacturers here at the show. This is crazy for pushing the bounds of technology. Imagine constructing a home with 3 people on a computer.
So what does that look like on the job site? Did they get pieces to assemble or?
Imagine just a giant hose that comes out that's connected to a digitized structure and just
It's
moves. And it's extruding concrete as it goes, stacking it up as you go vertically.
Really?
And you've just built a house in 36 hours.
Yeah.
Amazing cutting edge technology.
Awesome.
Very, very sexy. And then 2 weeks ago, there was a report issued by MIT about Roman concrete. Everybody knows about that. It lasts forever.
Okay.
Right? It's been there 2,000 years. What created that? They came out with a report that said this is what caused it. Leap forward now to 2023, and there are products that do the same thing with nanosilica technology. Crazy stuff.
So
I've
what
been
does that
doing
mean?
well, so imagine you always see the movies about these robots at microscopic levels that build things.
Yes.
Nanosilica particles use silica at a microscopic level to literally heal cracks in concrete. Crazy
Wow.
technology.
So like even if it cracks, it can heal itself.
Yes.
That's
Unbelievable kinds of things. So 25 years ago, these were unheard of. Of course,
Yes.
I'm a
It's
VA.
like sci-fi.
It's like sci-fi. If you would have told me this 25 years ago, I would have said, what sci-fi movie did you watch? But also don't forget that 25 years ago, if I would have told you I could take a piece of plastic and stick it into a brick wall, punch some numbers, and money comes out, you would have told me I'm crazy.
True. Very happening stuff. So
Yes.
I know you're on your boots on the ground in the day-to-day operation. What do you think 2023 is going to look like?
Okay, 2023, I think we're post-pandemic. I think we still got supply chain issues. I think we're going to continue to have those pressures. But we also have migration issues. And by that, I mean, I'm not talking about U.S. border. I'm talking about domestic migration of moving from certain states to other states. So Texas is a great one. And I'll just give you that as an example. Texas has, its population is growing by 1 million people per year. 1 million people. Let's take certain things in Texas, right? So over 20 years, what does that mean? 20 million people. Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, and the Valley are your 6 biggest concentrations of people. Current population is 20 million.
We're going to double.
Yes. So every year I have to nibble away at them. So even if I think on a national basis things are going to be what I call flat, any hiccup that I miss is not going to be, hey, we missed that huge demand. It's going to go the other way. A lower thing. Depressed, not a right word, but recession maybe.
Gotcha.
Short. I still have to build schools, roads for the 1 million people that have just moved here in our population.
Gotcha.
That's an incredible demand that's been placed upon us. It puts demands on supply chain. It puts demand on those. And for our products in our industry, where do the rocks come from? They come out of the ground. Same thing with the sand. I had somebody ask me the other day, can't you just move the quarry? No. So these are all challenges we have. Plus, I've got more cities developing. Take Dallas, Fort Worth, for example. 57 municipalities with construction curfews. How do I build something when I only have 12 hours a day? I'll give you one last data point there. Jobs. Everybody always talks about jobs. Everybody always talks about skilled labor. And we are an industry that provides skilled labor jobs. Do you know that you can make $100,000 a year driving a ready-mix truck? Yeah. But how do you convince somebody to come into that profession when you say you can only work so many hours a day? Not just the trucks, but all the other ones. Real challenges for us. So I think 2023, I would see from an economic standpoint, is flat. It has the potential to go a little softer. But I think the demand for our products is going to continue to be there because Texas, as an engine, is massive. And I've always told people, if Texas has a problem economically, we got bigger issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
especially if all these people are moving here, we should still be building.
Oh my God, we have to.
Concrete is the base of everything.
We build second most consumed product in the world.
So, supply chain issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does that look like for this year coming up, and kind of what caused that, and can it be corrected in the future?
So, great question. Let me answer it. I'm going to look backwards from the answer as an engineer would. So, first, in any supply chain, I got to have people, which means, and I have a decreasing labor pool. Average age of a CDL driver is 57 years old and getting older. How many people do you know that go into high school and say, you know what, I really want to drive a truck? Now, we did a poor job of telling them you can make $100,000 a year doing it, but there's not a lot of people who want to go into that profession. And if you go into plumbing, electrical, carpentry, by the time you're old enough to get a CDL, which is a federal government regulation, your peers are 3 years into their career. They're on their way to becoming a master carpenter, electrician, or plumber.
What is the age range on the CDL?
For a CDL, you got to be 21 years old.
Okay, gotcha. So they've already started when they were 18.
Correct. Now, in the pandemic, the federal government tried to push that down to 18, but we still have that issue. It's 21. So then the second thing is, once I have the people, I've got to put them in something, which is a truck. Truck manufacturers have been backed up on supply chain for 2 years. Are they going to catch up this year? Absolutely not. They're talking 2024, 2025 before they think they can get their supply up. So I'm short drivers, short on trucks. So now let's go back to the raw materials. Now, if it's a domestic raw material, say rock or sand, I may have access to those because I can control that production. But if I'm importing rock, if I'm on a coastal region, importing cement. I'll give you a great statistic here. Cement, as it's transported around the globe, is transported on ships. Those ships are sold out through next October with their supplies. So if you say, hey, I've got an extra amount of bags of this I want to put on a boat, ship, you're not going to find one. So is anything going to fix this? Yeah, we can. Domestically, in the U.S., everything is governed by regulations. You want to change something about supply chain? Look at your regulations. Most of them are prohibited. And let's go back to an earlier point I made about curfews. That's a supply chain constraint. Would you like to build something faster? Give me more hours in the day to build it. You know who sets that? Local venues. I'm amazed at everybody who says, have you ever been in traffic somewhere and you said, oh, why can't they finish this construction on this road? In most cases, it's a curfew.
Really? Is there another glaring thing that sticks out that would be on the supply chain side that's really affecting things?
Fuel is the other one. So as long as there's going to be a short supply of gas, and I don't want to say anything too political about that, but if you want prices to be lower on something, make something more plentiful.
Absolutely.
And so all of a sudden, I've got fuel surcharges on products that come into me. I have to charge a fuel surcharge on things I deliver. So by the time it gets to that person, that B to B to B to C, fuel surcharge, fuel. And all of a sudden, I'm here paying $5 for a bottle of Mountain Dew. Good
Crazy.
Lord, is it got ground up unicorn in it?
So Texas specifically, do you
Sure.
think the concrete is going to be able to keep up with the construction in Texas?
I don't think so. I think as our population and demand gets there, right now the state of Texas is consuming 2 yards per capita. The national average is 1.
So we're done.
We're double the national average on our consumption. The state of Texas alone is producing 17 to 20% of national volume. We're the number one consuming state. We're like a 13-year-old boy that eats everything, right? We eat so much, we can't not only domestically produce with rock and sand and cement, fly ash, we're importing those things into the state of Texas. We still don't have enough. Population of Texas is 30 million. We're going to be 50 million in 20 years. Now, opening a ready mix plant, if I can permit and open one, is say 2 years and $4 to $5 million. If I want to open an aggregate facility, sand and gravel or quarry, I'm looking at $6 to $10 million in 2 to 4 years. And if I want to open a cement mill, you're looking at $400 million to $2 billion, and you're looking at 7 to 10 years. Big numbers.
Yeah.
But that's the reality of it.
So it's not like we're going to be building any new plants anytime soon.
Texas is open for business and has some of the, what I would say, more reasonable approaches to permitting. What we do wind up with is local municipalities starting to question that and starting to create their own supply chain problems by questioning permitting.
And we had talked earlier about a ordinance that was going through that you had spoke on in Houston. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what that would do?
All right, I'm going to poke the grizzly on this one.
No, that's what I wanted to talk about it.
So, you've got two challenges there. The city of Houston has no zoning.
Yes.
And they've recognized that, they know that, they admit that. So one of the things that they're trying to do is say, you can't permit ready mix plants in the city of Houston for a variety of reasons. Now, here's where the legal fight gets. Again, you may know this better than me, but it's where, as I understand it, the state constitution prohibits a municipality from superseding a state agency that has regulatory authority. Our permits are granted by the TCEQ, so a city can't regulate past that. But that's entirely what the city of Houston is trying to do, and we are open for a legislative session that's already in progress, and there are, I think the right number now is around 57 bills that are trying to prohibit or reduce the amount of activity from ready mix, concrete or aggregate facilities in the state of Texas.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
So not only are you fighting just having enough supplies, but you're fighting the local governments on being able to do your work.
The question I would have in broad general terms is, what would a world look like without concrete?
It's like the base of everything.
Yes.
And yet you're trying to push it off.
Correct. Or I want to have it, I don't want it made locally. I'd like to have it made further away and shipped in. That's traffic, that's congestion, that's emissions,
Carbon footprint.
All of those things. Yeah, I don't know anybody who in 2023 says, it's my New Year's resolution, I want to increase my carbon footprint.
We're supposed to be getting carbon neutral, right?
Right.
And I know also that you're a well-known, renowned speaker. What topics are you speaking on?
Sure. World Concrete. This is I think, close to my 20th year speaking here at World Concrete. And a partner and I, Jeff Groom, we have been teaching together for a decade. And we do the Concrete 101, 102, and 103 They have anywhere between 300 and 500 people in each one of the classes. So
what are they about?
So it's the basics of concrete.
Okay.
So what's the difference between cement and concrete? We start there at the very basic.
Okay.
Combine the materials, then produce them, transport, deposit, and then we get to the other stuff about what happens after it gets there. Troubleshooting and all those things. So it's a real progressive thing, but it's about 9 hours.
Wow, it's awesome. Did they get a certification at the end of it?
No, but the nice thing is they get my cell phone number and Jeff's cell phone number, and they have not been shy about calling us.
It's a great resource too. And I know we talked earlier, what are you seeing as far as your terms and conditions or contracts in the industry?
Great question. And it's so one of the things in the last 6 months that we've really spent a lot of time on is reviewing things like terms and conditions, warranties and guarantees, delivery tickets, and submittals. We have all this language on there that we've always said, oh, you just put it on there, make sure you've got it on there. Well, you and I were just chatting about this. In 2019, there's something that we recognize as what's called a force majeure. I think you'd call that act of God clause.
Yeah,
that's typically in some of these documents. Hey, if this happens, hey, don't hold us responsible. In 2019, an act of God or a force majeure clause might be a global pandemic. Who would have thought?
Yes.
But that it was unforeseeable, what I might call a black swan. Now, is that truly unforeseeable? Is a supply chain constraint unforeseeable? So now, with good legal counsel, anybody who is not looking at their supply agreements needs to be. It's a critical part of doing business. And if you are dismissing that as, that's admin, that's not money I want to waste, I really need another widget. So we ask the question all the time when we're looking at stuff like that. Is this a $20 problem that could become a $200,000 problem? Or is this a $20 problem that stays that way? My belief is if you've done the right thing with your terms, conditions, and legal documents, you can keep it a $20 problem.
No, absolutely. And being proactive about it, especially with the supply chain issues,
Oh,
having that in your
100%.
contract.
You've got to have it. And all of a sudden, hey, this material isn't available anymore.
Yeah.
Because there are no more two scary letters to me in the English language than L&D.
Yeah.
That's liquidated damages.
Absolutely. And like if you don't build it in, if you can't get the concrete, that's not an excuse. And so then your $1,000 a day penalty for not finishing on time, because obviously you're one of the first guys.
$1,000 a day. Can I get on that job?
Yeah, exactly. That's a light one.
Add a zero or more.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when you're one of the first guys on the job.
Absolutely.
Everything gets delayed.
Everything gets delayed.
All right. Is there any one last thing you wanted to add that everybody should know about 2023 or tech?
No, I think we've covered them. And like I said, I had to fight my way to get to the booth because of the crowd. Everybody knew to come here. I'm so glad you invited me to be here and be part of this program with you.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you betcha. Glad to do it.
Hey guys, this is Karalynn Cromans. Thank you for listening to an episode of the Quit Getting Screwed podcast from the world of concrete. Hey guys, if you need help, liens, collections, contracts, we do it all. We do it in all 50 states for a flat fee and a predictable time frame. If you want to know more, reach out to us on our website, thecromanslawfirm.com, which is in the show notes. Thanks.
So you're talking to Kim.